It means Councillor Baroness.
I don't think there was a question there that can be answered, but perhaps Mrs. Angry has a question that can be answered. Sorry, yes, I grew up in an era where, if a public figure, nice and loud, please. I grew up in an era when a public figure, politician, public servant, would, as a matter of honour, offer their resignation for the benefit of the party or the service that employed them, should matters arise that brought their judgement into question. I wonder what the panel think about that idea and where that point comes where somebody actually should offer their resignation. Councillor Cornelius, you refused to pressure your former colleague, Mr. Coleman, as he is now, to resign when he assaulted a female resident. And now you're refusing to accept that the mayor should resign.
Mrs. Angry, I think you'll find in Brian Coleman's book, I'm probably public enemy number one.
I seem to recall you defending him all the way. And so
I defended him until he was found guilty of assaulting someone.
There was never an apology to the victim of that assault, a woman in the street. So let's move on from
Well, I
that.
didn't hit her. He who hit her. He should have been
No,
a
but
gentleman and a promise.
I'm sorry, the Conservative Party closed ranks and supported him even when he was charged.
No, the Conservative Party suspended him from membership of...
No, I'm sorry.
We know better than you on this matter, Angry.
That was central.
I
So
don't
never mind
think
what
you
you
do.
think.
Yes, because we voted.
May I
Because we
finish my
didn't have the
question?
ability, but locally we expelled him when he was found guilty.
No, excuse me, Councillor Cornelius, I believe that the Central Party had to intervene.
The Central Party couldn't intervene. We have a very peculiar party constitution.
You may
And whilst locally we couldn't suspend him for having been charged with a crime.
At no point you continue. You said, "I know and I like Friern. I can't believe he would do such a thing." Quote.
Well, frankly, it is unbelievable someone would do
No,
it.
it's not. It's not at all. Let's move on. But let's move on.
It's probably
The point
cost
is,
me fine.
we are now in a catastrophic situation. We have a council with we have a council with committees that may or may not be lawful. We have Councillor Dean Cohen giving disproportionate amounts of money to Conservative wards, apparently, and nothing to Collingdale and other Labour wards. Yes, that is a fact, Councillor. We have a mayor who is under pressure to resign. May I finish?
Yeah, you can, but you're getting it all wrong.
Oh,
What did you
that's a
got?
silly woman, what do I know? We have a mayor who has brought controversy to the office he's holding now by some of his activities as a landlord. Do you not think, first of all, that the mayor should offer his resignation, and any other councillors that may be involved in that? And do you not think perhaps the time's come to offer your resignation with presiding over such an almighty mess since you returned to power?
Two very easy answers. No and no.
I thought you might say that.
Question was the panel.
Let's also ask the whole panel.
May I say this, as a non-party person, there is really, Councillor Cornelius doesn't mind, there is really a feeling of concern, a deep concern, as to the conduct of the council. And in my own experience, I want to compare it, if I may, Madam Chairman, to something that we did some years ago. I mentioned the name of Pam Edwards, and I congratulate her on the award given to her. It's richly deserved. Years ago, Pam Edwards and I, and one other person, did what we could to get the old bull in Barnet High Street, which was a run-down old place. And we worked hard, month in, month out, to alter that into a very good theatre, and it is now running in that capacity. We worked very, very hard at that. Now, why I mention that is this. The Conservative mayor and I think it was Mr. Tiplady, I can't remember his name, and others, had great concern and they cared. They came down, the other parties as well, they came down, they saw what we was doing, they were giving money, they were helping, charities gave money, and we were able to re-establish a building for a proper purpose. And at that time, we realized, whatever the party was, that people cared. They cared in the way they came to us. They cared at coming to see the progress and our constant thing. The problem that is reflected here by the lady here and others is that there's a feeling that the administration hasn't really cared. That is what comes through to me. Whether the people are decent people, hard-working people, but there is the feeling of a gap between the council and the needs of the people. And I reflect this very much. Take the very small issue, or is it a big issue of parking? It's a major issue. If I go to a couple of miles away into Enfield, I put a coin in the thing and I park. If I go to Hartsmere at Potter's Bar, I get a slip for half an hour, quite free. So I can go to the shops and I can shop. That is an area which is not indicated the caring. There are people who don't have mobile phones, there are people who don't use them. And I think that this indicated a lack of care about the ordinary person who could not fit in to the scheme which you had in mind. And that is what's come through to me. And I take the analogy of some years ago at the Bull, where your colleagues then cared terribly about the reconstruction of what we were doing there. And that is the problem, the gap between people's perception of what you're doing and your own perception of what you're doing.
I wonder if you could expand just a little bit and actually talk about your experience of political resignation. This is what this
When
is
does
about.
that point come where somebody should resign?
Well, I don't think it's for me, as a non-councillor,
Yes.
to influence councillors. They know their own work, their own what they do. I'm not a councillor. I don't have to go 2-3 nights a week to meetings and have everything changed in my life. So it's up to them to decide how they feel. I wouldn't pursue it myself.
Okay, well, I just wanted to make a couple of reflections and then comment on the issue about resignations. I think residents have an absolute right to expect an efficiently run council that listens to them and responds, and actually being able to get in touch with and share issues with their local councillors. And one of the challenges over the last several weeks is we have had a pretty shambolic process, and I think, unfortunately, the last vestiges of the confidence of many people in the council have been shredded. And I think that's been exacerbated by the problem with the capita process around members' IT and actually the IT system in general, where, for example, we've had massive problems with local residents being able to renew their CPZ parking permits because there's an IT problem. There seems to be an IT problem with billing for some of the social care charging. And certainly as far as councillors are concerned, and it particularly affects the new councillors who have just been elected and are really fired up to support and deal with their local residents. Actually, because of the IT problems and telephony problems, actually lots of residents can't get hold of their new councillors and are deeply frustrated. And my message machine at home, because my number's out there, has been getting lots of phone calls saying, please will you put me in touch with my new local councillor. So I think there's a huge frustration around all of that. And we need to put that right. And if that takes all of us working together to do it, so be it. In terms of resignations and honour, I think people have to have their own code of honour. And there will be different circumstances when different things go wrong. So actually, if you think that you're the right person, okay, there were mistakes made, but they weren't willful, and you genuinely think that you are the right person to get those sorted, and you feel you still have confidence of local people, or the council, or your officers in doing that, well, okay, that's a judgment call to make. But actually, if it's willful, or is a catastrophic failure, yes, I think most people would be honourable about that and feel that they couldn't continue. But it has to be about your own sense of honour and what you can do to put it right or not.
Oh, sorry, I've got John Hart and then I'm coming to the audience.
Just to make a small comment in my own favour, and why not? Last night, Keith and I were at the Old Hall. I currently am the chairman of Barnet Borough Arts. Nobody else wants to be the chairman of Barnet Borough Arts, and it's nothing to do with my political status, not even my area, but I do it because I'm interested in the arts, curiously enough. And I've written a little book, as was mentioned, and Keith is even more involved in publishing. So there are these, there are civilised people in all parties, if I may say so, and there are people who like the arts in all parties. Just a little statement in my own defence.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay.
In the newspaper today, it's reported that Councillor John Hart's signature appeared on leases that were blank as witnessing their having been signed before they were signed, and I cannot imagine what Councillor John Hart thinks is the role of an elected public office holder who is meant to uphold a series of principles to which local government is meant to adhere: transparency, honesty, openness, and the rest, and feel that it is okay to sign as witness something he did not witness, and then come and sit here and face us saying, why not make a point in my favour? I am appalled. It's disgraceful. Barnet is being called into disrepute by this kind of disregard for personal principles, and it's entirely willful, Alison, and he should resign.
Voted in the newspaper said that as well.
No, just to say no comment, it's under inquiry by the monitoring officer, and we'll see what the outcome of the decision of the monitoring officer, who is the legal person in the borough, thinks of what for me was a silly lapse. I helped a friend once, that's all.
Did you? So what we do?
Yeah, I did, of course I did.
So you regret it?
Of course I regret it.
Resign.
I did it, no, I'm not going to. I did it against my best judgment.
Hold you to account.
To help somebody out, that's
I
right.
think you should
Several
resign
years
when you
ago.
referred to the cuts to Mapledown School and said that the money going to disabled children were handouts. Frankly, that was the matter which you should resign because it was deeply offensive.
What are you talking about, sir?
Yeah, have you forgotten when you went to the committee meeting where parents of Mapledown School were, and you referred to handouts, the money that those children depend on for vital respite care for their families? Do you not think that was grossly
No, I
offensive?
don't remember. If you noticed.
You don't. I was there when you said.
All right then. Well, if I said it, I'm sorry, but I don't remember. Well, I don't remember. Sorry, I can't remember everything I
So
said.
that's another reason you should resign if you can't remember that.
True.
We'll be resigning all the
Sorry,
time.
we've got somebody here.
I'd like to pick up the point that
Louder.
is it I'm a doctor as a professor is
Aubrey
Aubrey Rose brought. I'll stand up and do an opera diagram. I've written these things down because so that I don't forget anything, but I agree totally with you that